college football rankings announced for this week, earlier in the week. Oregon's still number one. Some movement, though, and here's how the bracket would lay out, if you will. Ohio State was 2, they'd be the 5th seed. Texas 3, they'd be the 2nd seed. Penn State 4, the 6th seed. Indiana at 5. So when you look at that, what was your initial reaction to how that laid out and the rankings?
So the biggest thing that jumps out there, obviously, is Boise State being the 4th highest ranked conference champion, which gets them a buy-in into that 4th seed right now. I don't know that, and nothing against Boise State, I don't know that a BYU or even an SMU shouldn't still be ahead of them, even though actually Miami's there for the ACC. So we're really talking about BYU, and I know BYU lost to a Kansas team that's now 4-6, but I think you're still talking about a very good resume for BYU that could have them ahead of Boise State. A lot of the underlying numbers are actually pretty close to even, but I do think eventually if somebody runs the table here in their last 3 games in the Big 12, whether it's BYU or Arizona State or Colorado, I actually do think there's a good chance they could jump ahead of Boise again, and a Big 12 team could get that 4th spot. But that's the obvious scenario there that's become very real, is Boise State or maybe even another Group of 5 team being in play for that 4th bye week.
The other thing, Ohio State plays Indiana. In Indiana, undefeated behind a 1-loss Penn State team in the seeding. You can't control how your schedule lays out. It seems to me like there's a little bit of disrespect maybe to Indiana by the committee.
I mean, sort of, but they're also number 5 in the rankings, and there's a lot of people arguing that a lot of the SEC teams should be ahead of them based on strength of schedule. My problem is 2 things. One, with how big these conferences are, they're imbalanced schedules even within the conferences. When there's 16 to 18 teams within a conference, you're only playing 8 or 9 conference games, you get an imbalance in the schedule that really throws things off when you talk about Penn State's schedule versus maybe, an Ohio State's or an Oregon's or Indiana's schedule as well. You get it in the SEC too with certain teams where Texas really hasn't played anybody outside of Georgia, and Alabama's played every elite team in the conference. So that's become an issue. The other thing is, I think we have to remember with strength of schedule, especially out of conference, some of those out-of-conference games are scheduled like 5, 7, 10 years in advance. So Curt Cignetti has no control over what got scheduled maybe back in 2016 for 2024. So, look, is it something that should be weighed? Yes, but I think the fact that Indiana has also dominated almost every single one of their games should matter.